Juan Davis Montour. I'm the interim General Housing Manager and also backfilling the position of Social Housing Administrator.
My name is Paul Rice. I'm the Executive Financial Officer for the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake.
Chief Carl Horn, I'm the Housing Portfolio Chief.
Kevin Kennedy, I'm the Executive Operations Officer, and I'm also filling in for the Director of Client-Based Services who is on medical leave right now.
Nyawa Joe, I want to thank everybody for being here today. First and foremost, I want to thank Paul Rice and his team. They were tasked with dealing with this current situation, which I'm sure everybody is well aware of. And I'm very confident moving forward that their team did a thorough job in the short term. And we're making sure as Chief and Council, but not only as an organization, that we're gonna do our best to move forward in regards to this situation. It's been very difficult, like I said, not only for the organization, but for the community as a whole. But I'm confident that Paul and his team took the necessary steps to address the current situation and to make sure long-term this never happens again. And we're going to do our best step by step to gain the confidence back in the community. And as a housing portfolio chief now, I'm confident and ready to take on the challenge of gaining confidence back within our community and our people moving forward. So I'm just hoping that any questions later on deal specifically with moving forward. I'm hoping we can turn this into a positive, especially long term for our people. So Nyawa for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Paul now, who's going to read the executive summary, which I want to include was submitted to or presented to Chief and Council, I believe last week or this past Monday, and Chief and Council was unanimous in accepting all the recommendations moving forward. So I'll turn it over to Paul and we'll go from there.
So we have here on page 1, the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake Housing Department Assessment Summary Report dated September 24th, 2018. In late spring 2018, the MCK Executive Director's Office became aware of the possibility of misappropriated funds within the Housing Department and directed myself, the Executive Financial Officer, to assume oversight and eventually a full assessment of the Housing Department's accounts and operations. As a result of an initial review and collection of evidence, the Social Housing Administrator was terminated in June and a criminal complaint was lodged with the Kahnawake Peacekeepers for the alleged fraud and misappropriation of over $110,000 at the start of July. A more complete housing assessment began in late June 2018 and now has progressed to a point at which conclusions can be drawn from the information gathered and analyzed. With the help of external professional consultants and reports, we have concluded at this interim stage that the current situation is a result of misappropriation on the part of the Social Housing Administrator and poor management of the MCK Housing Department for the better part of a decade from 2008 to 2018. The total amount of missing funds calculated to date stands at $145,000. The process. The housing assessment is a financial, operational, and strategic review with the following objectives. Number 1, reconciling client accounts as of March 31st, 2018. Number 2, contacting all clients of the Housing Department to understand their experiences. Number 3, finding interim management for the Housing Department. And number 4, restoring confidence in the Housing Department and in the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. Throughout the period of the assessment, the Housing Department was lacking staff and needed interim management and staff to manage the day-to-day operations and improve operations moving forward. Keeping the department functioning became an ancillary goal of the process, as files and data needed to be accessed and reviewed when contacting clients. The purpose of this interim report of the housing assessment is to provide Chief and Council and ultimately the community with a clear picture of what transpired in the Housing Department during the period of 2008 to 2018. As a result, an operational review of how business was conducted by the Housing Department was completed. Reconciliation of delinquent accounts was conducted and contact with a majority of the clients was performed. Attempts continue to be made with those clients who have yet to respond. Independent forensic assistance was secured and concluded to support the findings and actions taken. Recommendation of improved controls for housing payments and cash controls for the entire MCK has been approved. Recommendations to restructure the Housing Department have also been presented and approved by Chief and Council. The housing assessment was a combined effort of the various internal and external individuals under the oversight of myself, the Executive Financial Officer. An independent forensic accountant was hired to review the database of housing files. An independent lawyer was hired to meet and interview clients who felt they were a victim of misappropriation of funds. Finally, an independent financial accountant was hired to revamp financial controls, beginning with accounts receivable and cash payments. Efforts to contact clients of the department were complicated by numerous factors, including incomplete client files, out-of-date loan files, as well as contact information. This lack of information caused significant delays to the housing assessment. In order to rectify this, each client needed to be contacted and provided relevant housing information. This was done via public releases, registered letter, as well as by phone to each client. The financial findings. The independent reports confirmed the initial assessment hypothesis with respect to financial amounts, specifically that the missing payments were predominantly associated with clients who were directed to work with the social housing administrator in case management. Case management included clients who were considered in arrears and those who lived in the multi-dwelling, rent-to-equity, or HOPE units. At this time, $145,000 can be confirmed as the amount of the alleged fraud. The interviews also revealed deeper issues in the management of the department and interaction with clients. A complete reconciliation of accounts is ongoing as clients continue to be contacted. Operational findings. The housing department and its current structure, while meeting clients' needs to a degree, requires significant review and development from a policy procedure, role/operational and staffing perspective. Over the last 10 years, areas of housing were mismanaged or ignored to the detriment of clients. The housing department states in some of its policies that case management is used. However, there is no governing policy covering this operational function, nor does it have any operational procedures related to this function. The housing department has many of its procedures documented. However, some tasks are not documented. Further, it has been some time since these procedures have been reviewed. Procedures for the housing department meetings were reviewed. There is documented proof the meetings happened on a monthly basis. Upon review of the meeting minutes, it was noticed that items are listed as completed, but no report on the given subject matter is attached to the report. Strategic findings. The housing department has proven incapable of managing client relationships and financial accounts. The department needs to be restructured with a focus on client needs. The financial and administrative work of the department must be restructured in order to focus on client needs. Recommendations presented and approved by Chief and Council on September 24, 2018. Restructure housing department operations with a focus on clients. Update all contracts and client contact information. Continue to meet with clients and resolve their accounts issues on a case-by-case basis. Separate social and financial functions within the department. Revise policy and procedure. Create an analyst position and create a rental unit manager position. Restructure of the finance department. Create independent authority for finance. Revamp financial controls. Limit cash points and cash transactions. Revised accounts receivable policy and accounting staff shuffle and restructuring. A strategic shift to the housing department to a social focus, including inspecting all rental units, updating and repairing the rental units, building more rental and subsidized rental units, expanding on home repair loans, exiting the mortgage market, refinancing revolving loan fund mortgages, and financing larger housing projects to meet demands of the current market. Conclusions to be drawn. Chief and Council has approved the housing assessment summary reports and the recommendations for implementation. Client interviews and account reconciliation will continue to ensure each individual client's situation is remedied on a case-by-case basis. A final complete report, including all subsidiary reports, will be presented to Chief and Council upon conclusion of client interviews. Any charges related to the criminal complaint is still pending with the Kahnawake Peacekeepers at this time. This report has been prepared by myself, MCK Executive Financial Officer, with contributions from the assessment team members, including the external independent professional consultants.